More and more people travelled on the Fat Controller's railway. More and more ships came to the harbours. Everyone had to work very hard indeed. No one can say, grumbled Henry, that we're afraid of hard work, but we draw the line at goods trains, finished Gordon. Dirty cuts, dirty sidings, ugh, put in James. Silence, ordered a well-known voice. Let me tell you, an engine for goods work will arrive from Scotland tomorrow. The news was received with acclamation. The Fat Controller stared. Did you say 2 engines, Inspector? Yes, sir. Then send the other back at once. Certainly, sir. But which? The 2 engines are exactly alike, sir, and have no numbers. They say they lost them on the way. The Fat Controller seized his hat. We'll soon settle that nonsense, he said grimly. The 2 engines greeted him cheerfully. I hear you've lost your numbers, he said. How did that happen? The mourner slyly slip it off, sir. You can know it is. The engines spoke in chorus. What are your names? Donald and Dougie, sir. Good, he said. Then your controller can tell me which of you is which. We didn't ken our names, sir. How could he? We only given ourselves names when we lost our numbers. One of you, said the Fat Controller, is playing truant. I shall find him out and send him home. Inspector, he ordered, give these engines numbers and set them to work. Soon workmen came to give the twins their numbers. Donald was 9 and Douglas 10. You may have noticed, Dougie, that yon painters forgot something. What did they forget? They painted braw new numbers on our tenders, but they put none on us. You mean, grinned Douglas, that we can... Just that, chuckled Donald. Who'd you wished? Here's the inspector. No 9 and 10, smiled the inspector. Here's Duck. He'll show you round before you start work. The twins enjoyed themselves. They didn't mind what they did. Every day, punctually at 3:30, Gordon steams in with the express. There is also a special coach for passengers travelling to places on Thomas's branch line. It doesn't wait there long. Thomas, with Annie and Clarabelle, comes hurrying from the junction to fetch it. One afternoon, Douglas helped Duck in the yard. As Duck was busy arranging Donald's trucks, Douglas offered to take away Gordon's coaches. Douglas was enjoying himself when an awful thought struck him. I hope the Fat Controller doesn't find out I shouldn't be here. I couldn't abide going back. He worried so much over this that he forgot about Thomas's special coach. Soon Thomas came fussing. Where's my coach? Coach? What coach? My special coach that Gordon brings for me. It's gone. I must find it. He bustled away. Lord sakes, said Douglas. I'm on a stowed the special coach with the others. Now listen, said Douglas's driver. We'll change tenders. Then I'll wire with ye, Donald, and take yon goods. Dinna fash about us. Donald, with Douglas's tender, number 10, was out and away with the goods before they came near. Douglas and his driver waited with innocent expressions. Ah, said the Fat Controller, number 9. And why have you not taken the goods? My tender is awa, sir. The driver showed him the tender, still uncoupled. I see. Some defect, no doubt. Tell me, why did number 10 leave so quickly? Maybe, sir, put in Douglas, he saw you coming and thought he was late. Ah, said the Fat Controller. Here, gentlemen, are the facts. Number 10 has been shunting the yard. Your coach disappeared. We investigate. Number 10, disappears too. You can draw your conclusions. Please accept my apologies. The matter will be investigated. Good afternoon, gentlemen. The Fat Controller watched them till they climbed the station ramp. Douglas, he rapped, why are you masquerading with Donald's tender?
Lots of ships use the harbour at the big station by the sea. Passenger ships have spotless paint and shining brass. Other ships, though smaller and dirtier, are important too. They take coal, machinery and other things abroad and bring back meat, timber and things we need. Fishing boats also come there. They unload their fish on the quay. Some of it is sent to shops in the town, and some goes in a special train to other places far away. The railwaymen call this train the Flying Kipper. One winter evening, Henry's driver said, "Well, we'll be out early tomorrow, Henry. We've got to take the Flying Kipper. Now, don't tell Gordon, but I think that if we pull the Kipper nicely, the Fat Controller will let us pull the Express." "Shh! Hurrah! Shh! Hurrah! Shh! That will be lovely." He was ready at 5 o'clock. Snow and frost. Men hustled and shouted, loading the vans with crates of fish. The last door banged. The guard showed his green lamp and Henry started off. But his wheels slipped on the icy rails. Henry got cross with the vans. "Come on! Come on! Don't be silly, don't be silly, don't be silly, don't be silly, don't be silly! Come on! Come on! Don't be silly, 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 don't be silly!" The vans shuddered and groaned. "All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. That is better, that is better, that is better." And the train began to gather speed. Thick clouds of smoke and steam poured from Henry's funnel into the cold air, and when his fireman put on more coal, the fire's light shone brightly on the snow around. "Hurry, hurry, 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 hurry." They pushed under bridges and clattered through stations, green signal lights showing as they passed. They were going well. The light grew better, and a yellow signal appeared ahead. Henry thought, distant signal up, that means caution. But the home signal was down. They couldn't know the points from the main line to the siding were frozen, and that the signal had been set at danger. A fall of snow had forced it down. A goods train waited in the siding to let the Flying Kipper pass. The driver and the fireman were drinking cocoa in the brake van. You know, the Flying Kipper is due." "Who cares about the Flying Kipper? This is good cocoa." "Hey, come on, fireman, back to our engine." "But I haven't finished my cocoa yet." Henry's driver and fireman jumped clear before the crash. Henry was sprawled over on his side. The fat controller came to see him. "Well, Henry, what have you got to say for yourself, "Oh, dear, sir. Oh, sir, the signal was down, sir. Honestly, it was. Honestly." Cheer up, Henry. Wasn't your fault. Ice and snow caused the accident. I'm sending you to Crew, a fine place for sick engines. They'll give you a new shape and a larger firebox, and then you'll feel a different engine, and you won't need special coal anymore. Now, won't that be nice, Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, yes, sir. Yes. Henry liked being at Crew, but was glad to come home. A crowd of people waited to see him arrive in his new shape. He looked so splendid and strong that they gave him 3 cheers. Thank you.
Gordon was feeling grumpy. This was making James cross.
Why are you complaining all the time? Because I'm a big blue engine and I know everything. I shall complain whenever I want. You're just a small red engine with ideas above your station.
I can't see any, said Percy. Where are they?
Any what?
Ideas above the station. The sky's empty. Like your smoke box, Percy, laughed James. But Gordon was still grumpy.
One day I'll show you just what a big engine can really do.
So what can a big engine really do?
Not speak to silly little green engines for a start,
replied Gordon. Then he puffed away. Later that day, Sir Topham Hatt came to see him.
Gordon, you'll be making one stop today with an empty express to test our new station.
You can make up time afterwards.
Why can't Henry do it? He likes idling in stations.
You will do as you are told. So Gordon did. But he was still unhappy, and he grew sick too.
I just can't get up to speed,
he moaned. It's time for your visit to the works. Your pipes are clogged, said the fireman. At last, they approached the new station. Gordon was impressed, but his mood soon changed. In front of him was a blank wall and huge buffers.
What a boring view! Important engines like me should have a panoramic view, where I can see people and people can see me!
And he wheezed angrily. Gordon was happy when it was time to leave. Now you can really enjoy your run as long as your pipes will let you, said his driver.
Come on! I can go faster than this,
Huffed Gordon.
Sick me never!
But Gordon began to feel more and more feeble. And soon he came to a complete stop.
What happened?
His driver and fireman inspected him. Something's broken inside you, Gordon, said his fireman. Now you really will have to go to the works. Gordon was still fuming when James arrived to collect his coaches. Well, so much for knowing about everything. You got too puffed up in your boiler, so it serves you right. When Gordon returned from the works a few days later, he was still boasting.
I am the finest engine on the island of Sodor, probably the finest in the world.
Come on, Gordon. We're going to the official opening of the new station. Then there was trouble. As Gordon approached the new station, neither the driver nor fireman could apply his brakes. Something had jammed. The driver reduced steam, but Gordon was still going too fast.
Help me, please!
Well, Gordon, said Sir Topham Hatt, I knew you wanted a panoramic view, but this is not the way to achieve it.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
When Gordon was repaired again, he took Sir Topham Hatt to the new station for its second official opening. This time he arrived safely, and everyone clapped and cheered as he pulled in. Sir Topham Hatt spoke to him. Your panoramic view is here to stay. I trust you will always see through it from the safety of your own rails. Gordon heartily agreed.
Henry C. Red. Henry found life boring at the works. The men worked hard to make him better, but it seemed ages before he was ready. At last, however, when he had passed the test to make sure he was mended properly, men came to repaint him. But Henry saw that instead of nice green paint, they had something very different in their paint pots. "That's not right," protested Henry. "The Fat Controller wants me to be green with red stripes, not red all over like tomato sauce." "You'd look very handsome, Henry," they said, "but don't worry, this paint is a special sort of undercoat. You shall have proper green with red stripes before we've finished." "Undercoat," muttered Henry in disgust. "Whatever would the other engines say if they saw me looking like this?" The men laughed and carried on painting. Early next morning, his driver came. "Wake up, Henry," he said. "There's an emergency at the big station, and the Fat Controller says you're to help." "But I can't go like this," exclaimed Henry. "They'd all laugh like anything." "No choice," said his driver. "The diesel pulling the express has failed, and the Fat Controller needs you to take over. It's either us or a long walk for the passengers, and you know the Fat Controller wouldn't like that." The fireman raised steam as quickly as he could, and Henry, blushing with embarrassment, set off for the big station. The Fat Controller was pleased to see him. "I feel so silly looking like this," complained Henry. The Fat Controller laughed. "You do look unusual, Henry," he agreed, "but you have helped me out of a very awkward situation, so don't worry about it." But Henry did worry. Soon, too soon for Henry, it was time to start. The express was heavy, and Henry felt the drag of the coaches. "We'll need help on Gordon's Hill today," remarked his driver. But they were in trouble earlier than that. As they approached Edward Station, the brakes went wrong on the last coach of the train. They had to stop and uncouple it. To make matters worse, Donald, who should have been there to help, had been called away. Henry had to push the coach into a siding himself. And, without Donald, there was no one to help him on the hill. "Never mind," comforted his driver. "You can do it. You're an enterprising engine, remember?" Henry snorted. He didn't feel very enterprising just then. The men at the works had mended Henry well. His driver gave him as good a start as he could. It was hard going, but now Henry felt fired with determination. "Let them laugh at my red paint," he snorted. "I'll show them." Slowly he struggled upwards. "I can do it! I can do it! I can do it!" he panted. "Oh dear, will the top never come?" Then, suddenly, there it was. "I've done it! I've done it! I've done it!" he puffed proudly. After that, it was much easier. reach the other railway quickly. The Fat Controller, who had been on the train, came to congratulate Henry. "Well done, Henry," he said. "I'm very proud of you. Perhaps all my engines should be painted red, but you have certainly earned your proper green with red stripes," which of course is just what Henry got. And when he at last returned to the shed, there was a warm welcome for Henry the Green Engine.
Thomas the Tank Engine was grumbling to the other engines. "I spend my time pulling coaches about ready for you to take out on journeys." The other engines laughed. "Why can't I pull passenger trains too?" "You're too impatient," they said. "You'd be sure to leave something behind." "Rubbish," said Thomas. "I'll show you." One night, he and Henry were alone. Henry was ill. The men worked hard, but he didn't get better. He felt just as bad next morning. Henry usually pulled the first train, and Thomas had to get his coaches ready. If Henry is ill, he thought, perhaps I shall pull his train. Thomas ran to find the coaches. Come along, he fussed. There's plenty of time, they grumbled. Thomas took them to the platform and wanted to run round in front at once. But his driver wouldn't let him. "Don't be impatient, Thomas." Thomas waited and waited. The people got in, the conductor and station master walked up and down, the porter banged the doors, and still Henry didn't come. Thomas got more and more excited. Sir Topham Hatt came to see what was the matter, and the conductor and the station master told him about Henry. "Find another engine," he ordered. "There's only Thomas," they said. "You'll have to do it then, Thomas. Be quick now." So Thomas ran round to the front and backed down on the coaches, ready to start. "Let's not be impatient," said his driver. "We'll wait till everything is ready." But Thomas was too excited to listen. What happened then, no one knows. Perhaps they forgot to couple Thomas to the train, or perhaps the driver pulled the lever by mistake. Anyhow, Thomas started without his coaches. As he passed the first signal tower, men waved and shouted, but he didn't stop. "They're waving because I'm such a splendid engine," he thought importantly. "Henry says it's hard to pull trains, but I think it's easy." "Hurry, hurry, hurry," he puffed, pretending to be like Gordon. "People have never seen me pulling a train before. It's nice of them to wave," and he whistled. "Peep, peep, thank you." Then he came to a signal at danger. "Bother," he thought. "I must stop, and I was going so nicely too. What a nuisance signals are." He blew an angry peep, peep on his whistle. The signalman ran up. "Hello, Thomas," he said. "What are you doing here?" "I'm pulling a train," said Thomas. "Can't you see?" "Where are your coaches then?" Thomas looked back. "Why, bless me," he said, "if we haven't left them behind." "Yes," said the signalman. "You'd better go back quickly and fetch them." Poor Thomas was so sad, he nearly cried. "Cheer up," said his driver. "Let's go back quickly and try again." At the yelling to top of hat what a bad railway it was. But when Thomas came back, they saw how sad he was and couldn't be cross. He was coupled to the train, and this time he really pulled it. Afterwards, the other engines laughed at Thomas and said, "Look, there's Thomas who wanted to pull a train, but forgot about the coaches." But Thomas had already learned not to make the same mistake again.
Sir Handel and Peter Sam had hard work while Skarloey was away. The owner gave them buffers, he even bought a diesel named Rusty. Sir Handel grumbled continually. One day, Gordon saw him shunting and laughed. "Ha ha! My controller makes me shunt," Sir Handel said sheepishly. "And take trucks to quarries too. I'm highly sprung, and I suffered dreadfully." "Our controllers don't understand our feelings," sympathized Gordon. "Now, if you were ill, you couldn't go, could you?" "Good idea," said Sir Handel. "I'll try it." "I don't feel well," he groaned next morning. There wasn't time to examine him then. So some of the trucks were coupled behind Peter Sam's coaches. And Rusty promised to follow with the rest. Sniggered Sir Handel, but no one noticed. Peter Sam didn't mind the extra work. He left his coaches at the top station and trundled cheerfully through the woods. The trucks chattered in an agitated way, but he paid no attention. It might have been better if he had. Slates come from quarries high up in the hills. They travel down in trucks on a steep railway called an incline. Empty trucks at the bottom are hitched to a rope. By their weight, loaded trucks run down the incline, pulling up empty ones. There are strong brakes in the winding house at the top to prevent loaded trucks from running down too fast. The ropes are very strong too, but in spite of this, trucks sometimes play dangerous tricks. Peter Sam never bumped trucks unless they misbehaved. Sir Handel bumped them even if they were good, so they didn't like him. Peter Sam pushed the empty trucks to a siding where his fireman hitched them to a rope. Then on another siding, he stood waiting. More loaded trucks stood at the top of the incline, ready to come down. They couldn't see Peter Sam. They thought he was Sir Handel and wanted to pay him out. They began to move.
"Scrag him! Scrag him!"
They yelled.
"No, no!
Wailed the empty trucks.
It's Peter Sam! It's Peter Sam!"
but it was no use. They broke it with a crack.
Hurrah! Hurrah!
Bust my buffers! Exclaimed Rusty. What a mess! Never mind, Peter Sam. We'll get you out. He soon pulled him away from the water and the trucks. Peter Sam felt battered, but he was glad his driver and fireman were unhurt. He thanked Rusty and limped slowly home. Rusty stayed to help clear the wreckage. I'm sorry about your accident, Peter Sam, said Sir Handel. I always stand well back. Trucks don't like me, you see. Why didn't you warn me? I didn't think. You never do, said a stern voice. You can start now, while you're doing Peter Sam's work as well as your own. That'll teach you to pretend you are ill. Sir Handel did start thinking. He thought about thin controllers. And he thought about Gordon. He wanted to give Gordon a piece of his mind.
Lots of people travel to the big station at the end of the line. Engines from the other railways sometimes pull their trains. These engines stay the night and go home next day. Gordon was talking one day to one of these. "When I was young and green," he said, "I remember going to London. Do you know the place? The station's called King's Cross." "King's Cross?" snorted the engine. "London's Euston. Everybody knows that." "Rubbish," said Duck. "London's Paddington. I know. I worked there." They argued till they went to sleep. They argued when they woke up. They were still arguing when the other engine went away. "Stupid thing," said Gordon crossly. "I've no patience." "Stupid yourself," said Duck. "London's Paddington. Paddington, do you hear?" "Stop arguing," James broke in. "You make me tired. You're both agreed about something anyway." "What's that?" "London's not Euston," laughed James. "Now shut up." Gordon rolled away, still grumbling. "I'm sure it's King's Cross. I'll go and prove it." But that was easier said than done. London lay beyond the big station at the other end of the line. Gordon had to stop there. Another engine then took his train. If I didn't stop, he thought, I could go to London. One day he ran right through the station. Another time he tried to start before the fireman could uncouple the coaches. He tried all sorts of tricks, but it was no good. His driver checked him every time. "Oh dear," he thought sadly, "I'll never get there." One day he pulled the express to the station as usual. His fireman uncoupled the coaches, and he ran onto his siding to wait till it was time to go home. The coaches waited and waited at the platform, but their engine didn't come. The driver came back in a few minutes looking excited. "Hello," said the fireman. "What's happened?" "The engine for the express turned over when it was coming out of the yard. Nothing else can come in or out. They want us to take the train to London." "Come on," said Gordon. "Let's go." He rolled quickly off the crossings and backed onto the train. It was only a few minutes before the guard blew his whistle, but Gordon thought it was ages. "Come on, come on," puffed the coaches. "Come on, come on, come on. We're going to town, we're going to town," sang the coaches, slowly at first, then faster and faster. Gordon found that London was a long way away. "Never mind," he said, "I like a good long run to stretch my wheels." But all the same, he was glad when London came in sight. Gordon returned next day. The fat controller spoke to his driver and fireman. "I see you had a good welcome in London." "We certainly did, sir. We signed autographs till our arms ached, and Gordon had his photograph taken from so many directions at once, he didn't know which way to look." "Good," smiled the fat controller. "I expect he enjoyed himself, didn't you, Gordon?" "No, sir, I didn't." "Why ever not?" "London's all wrong," answered Gordon sadly. "They've changed it. It isn't King's Cross anymore. It's St. Pancras."
Mountain engine. Sir Handel had had a bad day. The old coaches, Agnes, Ruth, Lucy, Jemima, and Beatrice, had been awkward. He was furious. Those cattle trucks to be scrapped, he fumed. Starlowy was shocked. I won't have it, he protested. Those old dears need kindness, not bad names. Exactly so, agreed Ringers. You be thankful, Sir Handel, that we're not a mountain railway. A mountain railway? What's that? A railway which climbs mountains, of course. But it can't, said Sir Handel. Its engine's wheels would slip. But it can, said Rennius firmly. We've heard of one quite near here. It can't. It can. Noisy argument started just as Donald touched the truck to the side of nearby. On the truck was a queer-looking engine. He had 6 small wheels and a stovepipe chimney. His boiler was tilted downwards. His cylinders were back to front. "Whish!" whispered Donald hoarsely. "Dinna wake the wee engine. It's tired he is. He's away back from England after being mended. You ken how it is." "We understand, but who is he?" "He's called Caldee. Up the mountain his railway climbs." "Well, did you ever? I don't believe it," said Sir Handel. "I think you'd best ask him yourself. Then maybe you'll learn it's the truth I've been telling you." Donald puffed away, offended. Caldee woke to find the engines gazing at him. "Where am I?" he asked. They told him. "That's good," he said. "I'm nearly home now." "Do you really climb mountains?" asked Starlowy. "I've done it for years." "You must be clever. We couldn't. Our wheels would slip." "I'm not really clever," laughed Caldee. "I was just drawn like that." "Like what?" "With pinion wheels on my driving axles. They have teeth, you see, which fit into a rack rail. I can't slip, however steep the line is." "That," said Arrhenius, "must help you going up. But if your line is so steep, aren't you frightened coming down?" "Why? We have good brakes." "Coaches," went on Arrhenius, "are sometimes silly and try to push us downhill. Some engines find it hard to stop them." Sir Handel blushed and looked at his buffers. "Our coaches," answered Caldee, "are never silly like that. They know such tricks are dangerous. I've never had that sort of accident. But," he went on thoughtfully, "I was frightened once. Very frightened indeed." "Please tell us," said all the engines. "One day, long ago, before our line was opened, our drivers made all 5 of us engines stand ready outside our shed. The inspector's coming, they said. We don't know which of you he'll choose." He chose me, climbed into my cab, and made me push 2 coaches to the summit. "So far so good," he said. "Now we'll test your brakes." So he went and stood on the steepest part of the line. Down, down it fell with a nasty curve below, edging a precipice.
Brakes off, driver. Let him roll.
Oh,
Gasped the little engine in horror. The coaches nudged me. We gathered speed downhill. I was terrified. My driver's hand stole to the brakes. Hands off, ordered the inspector. Then I remembered. I had automatic brakes. I could put these on myself. Perhaps the inspector wanted to see if I could. They worked beautifully. Well done, Caldy, said the inspector. You'll do. I smiled, of course, but felt very shaky. My driver and fireman mopped their faces. They'd been nervous too. I'm never nervous now, finished Caldy. Why should I be? There's no need.
Henry, James, and Gordon were miserable. They had been shut up for several days for being naughty and longed to be let out again. At last Sir Topham Hatt arrived. "I hope you are sorry," he said, "and understand that every job on the railway is important. We have a new tank engine called Percy, who helps pull coaches, and Thomas and Edward have worked the main line nicely. But I will let you out now if you promise to work hard." "Yes, sir," said the three engines, "we will." "That's right, but please remember that this no shunting nonsense must stop." He then told Percy, Edward, and Thomas that they could go and play on the branch line for a few days. And they ran off happily to find Annie and Clarabelle at the junction. The two coaches were so pleased to see Thomas again. Edward and Percy played with freight cars. "Stop, stop, stop," screamed the cars as they were pushed into their proper sidings. But the two engines laughed and went on shunting till the cars were tidily arranged. Next, Edward took some empty cars to the quarry. Percy was left alone. He didn't mind that a bit. He liked watching trains and being cheeky to the other engines. "Hurry, hurry, hurry," he would call, and they got very cross. After a great deal of shunting, Percy was waiting for the signalman to set the switch so that he could get back to the yard. He was eager to work, but was being rather careless and not paying attention. Edward had warned Percy, "Be careful on the main line. Whistle to the signalman you are there." But Percy didn't remember to whistle, so the busy signalman forgot him. Percy waited and waited. The switch was still against him, so he couldn't move. Then he looked along the main line. "Peep, peep!" He whistled in horror, for rushing straight towards him was Gordon with the express. "Oh!" groaned Gordon. "Get out of my way!" Percy opened his eyes. Gordon had stopped with Percy's buffers a few inches from his own. But Percy had begun to move. "I won't stay here. I'll run away," he puffed. He went straight through Edward's station and was so frightened that he ran right up Gordon's hill without stopping. After that, he was tired, but he couldn't stop. He had no driver to shut off steam and apply the brakes. I want to stop, he puffed. The man in the signal box saw Percy was in trouble, so he kindly set the switch. Percy puffed wearily onto a nice empty siding, ending in a big bank of earth. He was too tired now to care where he went. I want to stop. I want to stop. I have stopped, he puffed thankfully. Never mind, Percy, said the workmen as they dug him out. You shall have a drink and some coal, and then you'll feel better. Presently, Gordon arrived. Well done, Percy. You started so quickly that you stopped the nasty accident. I'm sorry I was cheeky, said Percy. You were clever to stop. Then Gordon helped pull Percy out from the bank. The two engines are now good friends, but Percy is always most careful when he goes on the main line.
Dirty objects. Toby and Henrietta take the workmen to the quarry every morning. Toby and Henrietta were shabby when they first came and needed new paint. At the junction, they often meet James. James was very rude about them. Ugh, ugh, what dirty objects, ugh, what dirty objects. At last, Toby lost his patience.
You're James. Why are you red then,
I'm a splendid engine, you see, ready for anything. You never see my paint dirty, oh no.
Oh, that's why you once needed bootlaces to be ready, I suppose,
James went redder than ever and snorted off. At the end of the line, James left his coaches and got ready for his next train. It was a slow goods, stopping at every station to pick up and set down trucks. James hated slow goods trains. Dirty trucks from dirty sidings, I hate them. I hate them, I do, there you are. first, the trucks behaved well, but James bumped them so crossly that they determined to pay him out. Heavy goods trains halt here to pin down their brakes. James had had an accident with trucks before and should have remembered this. "Wait, James, wait!" But James wouldn't wait. He was too busy thinking what he would say to Toby when they next met. Presently, they approached the top of Gordon's Hill. All too late, he saw where he was, and he tried to stop. The trucks saw their chance and started to laugh and shout, "Ha ha ha ha! And banging their buffers, they pushed him down the hill. James was frightened. "I've got to stop! I've got to stop! I've got to stop! I've got to stop!" And setting his brakes, he managed to check the truck's mad rush, but they were still going much too fast to stop in time. Through the station they thundered. James said, "Oh! Oh! Oh!" and shut his eyes. Something sticky splashed all over him. He had run into 2 tar wagons and was black from smoke box to cab. James was more dirty than hurt, but the tar wagons and some of the trucks were all to pieces. The breakdown train was in the yard, and they soon tidied up the mess. Toby and Percy were sent to help, and came as quickly as they could.
Look here, Percy. Whatever is that dirty object there? Any idea?
"Oh, that's James, Toby. Didn't you know?"
No, it's James's shape, all right. But James is a splendid red engine, and you never see his paint dirty, do you? Never James dirty, eh?
James shut his eyes and pretended he hadn't heard. They cleared away the unhurt trucks and helped James home. The fat controller was there to meet them. "Well done, Percy. Well done, Toby. And now you, James. Really. Fancy letting your trucks run away like that. I'm surprised. You're not fit to be seen. You must be cleaned at once. And Toby shall have a coat of paint. Chocolate and blue, I think."
Oh, thank you, sir. And please, sir, can Henrietta have a coat of paint too?
"Certainly, Toby, certainly."
Oh, thank you, sir. She will be pleased.
And Toby ran home happily to tell her the news.
One winter evening, Henry's driver said, "We'll be out early tomorrow. We've got to take the Flying Kipper. Don't tell Gordon, but I think if we pull the Kipper nicely, Sir Topham Hatt will let us pull the Express. The special coal they gave you is working well." "Hooray!" cried Henry. "That will be lovely." All kinds of ships use the harbor at the big station by the sea. There are passenger ships, cargo ships, and fishing boats also come here. They unload their fish on the quay. Some of it goes to shops in the town, and the rest in a special train to other places far away. This is the train the railwaymen call the Flying Kipper. Henry was ready at 5 o'clock. There was snow and frost. Men hustled and shouted, loading up the crates of fish. The last door banged, the guard showed his green lamp, and the Flying Kipper was ready to go. Come on, don't be silly, puffed Henry to the freight cars. The cars shuddered and groaned. Trickety-trock, all right. That's better, puffed Henry. Clouds of smoke and steam poured from its funnel into the cold air, and the fire's light shone brightly. Hurry, panted Henry. They were going well. The light grew better. Signal lights shone green as they passed. Then a yellow signal appeared ahead. His driver prepared to stop, but the home signal was down. "All clear, Henry. Away we go." They couldn't know the switches from the main line to a siding were frozen, and the home signal should have been set at danger, but snow had forced it down. A freight train was waiting in the siding to let the Flying Kipper pass, and the driver and fireman were drinking cocoa in the caboose. "The Kipper is due," said the conductor. "Who cares?" said the fireman. "This is good cocoa." The driver got up. "Come on, fireman, back to our engine." They got out just in time. Henry's driver and fireman had jumped clear before the crash, but Henry lay dazed and surprised. Sir Topham Hatt came to see him. "The signal was down, sir," said Henry. "Cheer up, Henry. It wasn't your fault. Ice and snow caused the accident. I'm sending you to Crewe, a fine place for sick engines. They'll give you a new shape and a larger firebox. You'll feel a different engine, and you won't need special coal anymore. Won't that be nice?" "Yes, sir," said Henry, doubtfully. Henry liked being at Crewe, but was glad to come home. A crowd of people waited to see him arrive in his new shape. He looked so splendid and strong that they gave him 3 cheers. "Beep, beep," he whistled. "Thank you very much." I'm sorry to say that a lot of little children are often late for school because they wait to see Henry go by. They often see him pulling the express. He does it so well that Gordon is jealous. But that's another story.
Fire engine. Flying Scotsman and my brothers were all green, explained Gordon one night in the shed. It was all very well in its way, but now I prefer my blue. It makes me different, you see, and that's very suitable for an important engine like me. The engines in our old line used to be blue, remembered Donald, but nae sae dark as we are. Dougie and me never were, though. We had to be black, say blue makes a nice change. I like my green too, agreed Henry. I'd hate to be red like James. People would think I was a fire engine. At least people can see me coming, retorted James. I don't disappear into the background like some engines I could mention. If it wasn't for the noise, you'd need a yellow and black front like Mavis. Henry's protests were drowned in the laughter of the other engines, and he went to sleep wondering how to pay James out. Henry was still cross next morning. What can be wrong? What can be wrong? Wondered the coaches anxiously as Henry pulled noisily away from the big station. Do come along, Henry snorted impatiently. They had a fast run. But it didn't improve Henry's temper. He bumped the coaches when they reached the end of the line, and again when he backed onto them for the return journey. He simmered angrily while the fireman fastened the coupling. No one noticed a rattle from beneath Henry's footplate as he snorted away. Soon the train was running well. Hurry, 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 puffed Henry. Faster and faster they went. At last, Henry began to feel better. Suddenly, he heard a crack from below his cab. "Look out!" shouted the driver. Both men watched in horror as a widening gap opened between Henry and his tender. Henry stopped as soon as he could. The automatic brake halted his tender and the train some way behind. "We must drop Henry's fire," said the driver urgently. "It will be dangerous to let him boil dry now that we can't get more water from the tender." The fireman agreed. "Sorry, old boy," he said to Henry, "just when we'd got it going nicely too. But if you hadn't banged about so much, you wouldn't have broken your tender coupling." While the fireman dealt with the fire, the driver went back to tell the signalman what had happened. When he returned, he found Henry completely hidden in a huge cloud which billowed from beneath his cab. The fireman emerged, choking. "Henry's fire set the sleepers alight," he spluttered. "You stay here. I'm going to phone the fire brigade." The driver eased Henry clear of the blaze. And then Edward came to take his train on. Henry felt most uncomfortable. Workmen made Henry a temporary coupling. They rejoined him to his tender, and then the driver and fireman lit a new fire and drove him gently home. Edward, who had of course seen everything, told the others. They were careful what they talked about that night. As for Henry, he was touchy on the subject of fires for some time afterwards. But James was quick to notice that from then on, Henry stopped making rude remarks about the colour of fire engines.
Planet Earth, my home, my place, a capricious anomaly in the sea of space. Planet Earth, are you just floating by a cloud of dust, a minor globe about to bust, a piece of metal bound to rust, a speck of matter in a mindless void, a lonely spaceship, a large asteroid. Cold as a rock, without a hue, held together with a bit of glue. Something tells me this isn't true. You are my sweetheart, soft and blue. Do you care? Have you a part in the deepest emotions of my own heart? Tender with breezes, caressing and whole, alive with music, haunting my soul. In my veins I felt the mystery of corridors of time, books of history. Life songs of ages throbbing in my blood have danced to the rhythm of the tide and flood. Your misty clouds, your electric storm, were turbulent tempest in my own form. I've licked the salt, the bitter, the sweet, of every encounter, of passion, of heat. Your riotous color, your fragrance, your taste, have thrilled my senses beyond all haste. In your beauty, I've known the how of timeless bliss, this moment of now. Planet Earth, are you just floating by a cloud of dust? A minor globe about to bust, a piece of metal bound to rust, a speck of matter in a mindless void, a lonely spaceship, a large asteroid. Cold as a rock, without a hue, held together with a bit of glue. Something tells me this isn't true. You are my sweetheart, gentle and blue. Do you care? Have you a part in the deepest emotions of my own heart? Tender with breezes, caressing and whole, alive with music, haunting my soul. Planet Earth, gentle and blue, with all my heart, I love you.